Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 20. So, the start of the episode pretty much gives us a feel for the preparations going into the school festival and whatnot. So we get to see a lot of the other students, a lot of the other classes and whatnot, preparing in order to do their what their thing is going to be for the cultural festival, which inevitably brings Nato Monoma back in the story. And you all know my thoughts on this character, this particular character, but just a small refresher. Fuck off, Monoma. Uh, okay, that's I really do think that about the guy, but being serious about it though, I guess for a second, uh, I do have to admit though, for as much of an overconfident dickbag as I still do think Monoma is, uh, I he is. It is also kind of one of those fast. It is also kind of fascinating how only two arcs after this, he would go from being one of the most. He would go from, to me, from one of the most annoying characters to not necessarily well developed character, but definitely more well rounded character. Like pretty much two arcs down the road, he basically becomes he actually does receive development to the point where you can actually see the emotional center of the character hidden under all the overconfidence. And I'm not saying it wasn't necessarily always there, but it's gonna be something you'll find where this is something that I always wanted Mashima to do with this. Always wanted Mashima to do with this character, and he basically does. Pretty much, like I said, two arcs down the road it happens, but it's yeah, but as it stands, he still is kind of a dickbag, but it's kind of fascinating how just two arcs down the road he would go through his own kind of emotional change, I guess. Um, and also, I do have to admit, Class B's whole idea of combining three popular fantasy franchises into a play is actually way more creative than I should have given it credit for when I first read it in the manga. Again, I think I let my hatred for Monoma at the time get in the way, but that legitimately, combining Harry Potter, Romeo, and Lord of the Rings all into one, pretty freaking creative. If I'm not gonna lie, the setup in itself, it's definitely it's got its weird premise to it, but somehow I can see it working. um, Also, one thing I really like about this episode is how, despite it focusing on what all the other students are doing for the festival, it still kept Eddie as the focus point, but by showing how she reacted to everyone and everything around her, and we got to see, at the very least, she's starting to grow more curious and coming out of and she's starting to shed that frightened shell a little more. It is just nice to see how it is nice how this episode was played out, in the sense where where we got to see what all the people are doing for the festival, but at the focal point we got to see it from Aries' perspective, and just seeing how she's reacting to everything. You can definitely see she's again, when we get cut to the cafeteria, we see that she's coming out of her shell. She's still frightened. She's still unsure, but she's curious now. She's kind of coming out of that shell a little more. Um, with Mirio and Area, and when we do focus on what the other students are doing, it also showcases how their importance in this. It really does showcase their importance in this festival, and they are going to stand, how these characters are going to be important. They are going to be stand out. They're going to have a standout role in this festival, and not just play second fiddle to Class 1A. Um, Also, with Mirio and Eri being at the festival, we also get to catch up with the big three, specifically Neji, specifically how Nejiri is going to be participating in a beauty contest, which I forgot if Nejiri actually won that or not, but I hope she does, because the champion. Okay, I'm sorry to anyone. I'm sorry. I definitely think that whoever judges this beauty pageant contest is blind. Whoever three judges or whatnot, whichever judges this thing, they're blind as fucking bat. They really freaking are. Like seriously, seriously, the like when we see the champion, like who the champion is, she's plastic and fake as hell. Seriously, how could those judges keep electing that French Bibini girl when it's clear as day she's like all that shit is like just beautification shit. Like how could they vote her in as the most beautiful when it's clear as day that Prince Hondo has more curvaceous assets, shall we say, going for her? Seriously, the judges are either as vain as Prince Beanie probably is, or dumb as shit. Because again, like putting those two together, I know who my pick's gonna be. It's gonna be Hondo because she's just the more naturally beautiful one. Seriously, what the like? It's one of those things where it's good contrast for sure, but it's like, yeah, how could the judges like vote this Babimi chick in? It doesn't make sense to me. Okay, it just doesn't. And maybe it's just because maybe it's just have a more natural sense of what I think is beautiful in a girl. Okay, but yeah, just saying, like Prince Najidi, she's basically got all the assets, she's got all the assets and all the beauty working in her favor. So I don't know. So yeah, if this Babini chick wins again, I'm gonna call rigged on this shit. Okay. uh, now, obviously, this episode wasn't all sunshine and roses, as we see a flashback of basically Nezu being confronted by the police chief, basically saying if something goes wrong at the school festival, then they will step in. So it has an extra layer of urgency that everything needs to go smoothly. And believe it or not, just even within this small flashback in itself, it also sets up a very interesting dynamic how the fight between Izuku and Gentle is going to play out from here on out. Is going to play out when we get to it, and it didn't really clue in until recently, but you'll find out pretty much starting next episode, if the preview can be believed, of what I'm talking about. But let's just say, like, this whole thing of the warning with the police chief, it basically says if anything goes wrong, anything's out of place, they're basically going to shut the whole thing down. So yeah, and to that, it kind of gives I think it unintentionally gives a little more gives a little extra motivation in order for basically Izuku when the time comes. Because yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point that Izuku and Gentle, they're gonna come to blows for sure. This also shows how tenuous the situation is getting and how much control society is losing over the superpower community. And I do admit that one missed opportunity in that whole flashback is that there was a point where the manga got a close up on the faces of Nezu and the police chief during their confrontation. But again, they kept it pretty static, like wide shot kind of thing, which again is the one thing I'm having a little bit of trouble. The more I watch My Hero Academia, this is the one problem I am having, is that they do kind of keep certain shots that should be more dynamic a little more static. But yeah, it is what it is. And yeah, let's talk about one of the bigger shock moments of the episode, which is that Izuku is basically removed from the dancing team. And as hilarious as hilariously pointless as this looks, it actually sets up what I was talking about before, about how even though Izuku is still going to be focused on this arc, it is largely going to be secondary to the Class A students. And in some ways, we're already kind of seeing that, how like even though we're getting moments with Izuku, he is largely like playing a secondary role in this arc, which honestly, I know people are probably a little miffed at that, but it is kind of refreshing in order to see these superpowered students just be students, be kids and whatnot. And but at the same time, we also see that no matter what role Izuku plays, he's happy enough, just in the sense where he's determined in order to make Eri smile. Like that's his one central focus. Like he doesn't want to be at the as long as he can make Eri smile, he doesn't matter like what role he plays in that, honestly. Um, Now we also see in this episode that Gentle's next target is Yue, and just through him explaining his plan, it shows us just how meticulous he actually is when planning out his heist. Even if a lot of what he said, and even if a lot of what he says sounds stupid, they are more or less basic ideas that would help him avoid detection, even to a high when pulling off like a heist or a theft, even to a high tech place like UA. On top of that, we also get a glimpse into how Gentle and Labrava met, and I remember when we got to this point, things got a little ewy for certain readers, but just know to you guys watching this, look when it comes to like Labrava, she is an adult. She's basically just an adult with a lolly body. It's kind of the same thing like how Minetta's a pint-sized teenager, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I feel I needed to kind of reinforce that point just for anyone who thought it was quote unquote icky, I guess. Um, but that aside, it also that part did show that the bond between Labrava and Gentle, it is genuine. It's not just something being forced on Labrava and not Gentle taking advantage of her skills. No, they both genuinely respect each other, and it shows there is that pretty much respect among that there is a respect among villains, even if they are like quote unquote villains. So yeah. But with that said, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Lister Control. Death Knight and me, signing off. Later, guys.